This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not helping bad girls set up their websites, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Rainier Avenue Radio, your community radio station.
This is Cindy Gray, the host of Heartbeat Radio.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time.
This is Paul Schneiderman today on the 73rd edition.
Hey, y'all, welcome to Travelers Guides to Venus and Mars and Princess Robin.
I'm Risha Ferry Godmother. You guys know me.
Your home for information about the impact of the coronavirus.
Amongst many things that's difficult about this virus is that
it's been devastating. They're really heartbreaking stories of people who have.
There isn't anyone that isn't impacted.
Shutting our schools down, including all athletic programs.
Your first-hand accounts.
We got new tests, and I found out that I was positive.
A lot of people who know me, I'm still the first person they know.
But it was almost like you were patient zero for South Seattle. Your stories of community coming together.
Partner very heavily with Tacoma Urban League, who is doing some amazing work in response.
We're doing things for small businesses. We're giving out loans to small businesses.
And so I think it's very important that we have leaders who feel.
I cannot tell you, we're calling 20, 30, 40 members.
This crisis in our community, we've been working to address it.
Rainier Avenue Radio, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
DJ Dirty John.
Karen Z with Rainier Avenue Radio.
Hey, this is Hercule Cool.
Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Rainier Avenue Radio.world. We got you covered. Local impact, global presence.
Broadcast. Welcome to Rainier Avenue Radio.world and our weekly coverage of the impact of communities. Continuation of our series. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us again here. And then again, now we are aware of the fact that we are and more focused on that.
Do you feel uneasy on your feet? Need assistance to walk? Do you use a wheelchair and want to stand more? What if you could stand stronger, feel steadier on your feet? What would this mean for your daily life? Join our dance-based walking program to improve balance, coordination, strength, and stamina. Wednesdays in July and August at 2 p.m. at the iconic Columbia City Theater in partnership with Rainier Avenue Radio and Hugs and Power Nonprofit. Walkers, wheelchairs, and canes welcome. If you can stand and bear weight for even just 5 seconds, come dance to walk with Tango Stride.
You're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Check us out on social media, Facebook and Instagram, Rainier Avenue Radio.world, and on Twitter at Rainier Ave Radio.
Ooh, it's Friday. Yeah, let's groove with Patrice Isley. She was kind enough to let me use her music as I start out my show. And you can hear more of Patrice on YouTube, so please check her out. This is Seniors Matter, and I'm your host, Brenda Charles-Edwards. It's a pleasure being here with you. You can see and listen to us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch TV, Rainier Avenue Radio App, as well as Twitter. I knew there was one more. Okay, so my guest today is Bonnie Bizzell. She's a healthcare visionary. She's an authentic leader, high impact communicator, and an end-of-life resource. But most importantly for me, she's a friend. Welcome, Bonnie. So good to see you again. We get together in person.
It's so good to see you. And I am just always, every time I hear you call me friend, my little heart just gets a flutter and I just feel so warm. So thank you, friend, for that lovely introduction.
You are very welcome, my dear. You are a friend. You know, we go back a little bit and we are in a world that's really different from a lot of other people in the sense that we are involved with end of life planning. Yeah. And just I've been dealing with one level personal. I was at a funeral yesterday of a friend of mine whose mother was like a second mother to me. And but it was joyful.
Oh, that's so fantastic. I think we need more of that. We need more joyous celebration.
They had a wonderful slide about their mom. The music was great. I just loved the music. I was like, oh yeah, okay, this is the way you're supposed to do it.
Yeah.
So can you hear me?
Dancing on the way out. That's how I want to go.
Yes.
I mean, it's not literally, just sort of.
I know. Figuratively speaking, right?
Figuratively, yes.
So, Bonnie.
Yes.
I know you've been going through some life journeys and you're embarking on a new journey.
Yes, I am.
And do you want to tell my audience a little bit about it? Because it's something that we will all need at some time, at some format. And you have a wonderful one coming up. So tell us about it, please.
So, so last year I had the immense privilege to help hospice my dad and be with him for the last month before he died. And it was one of the best things I've ever done. In fact, I was talking to someone and they said, what's your bestest achievement? And I said, personally, it was spending time with my dad towards the end of his life and being able to take care of him there. And we got to be around him. We got to surround him with love. It meant a lot. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was incredibly hard and trying. The sort of the physical and the emotional and the mental and the spiritual aspect was, it held both great joy and great sort of pain at the same time. And
I understand.
And I think a lot of people who help people at the end of life know this and experience this, whether you're doing it for someone else or someone you love and who's close to you. And my dad's wish was to, be scattered on the sea, on the water. And, you don't really think about that, necessarily. And when it came time to do it, here is this very simple wish. And it ended up not being as simple to do as I had hoped. I was like, oh, I'll take care of that. No problem. And I started looking and the Washington ferries used to, at least some of them, used to allow you to go on and scatter. You wouldn't really dump the ashes or you scatter. You have to it has to be in a container, but scatter the ashes. And they stopped doing that practice. It used to be lovely. You used to be able to do it and they would toot the horn and it was just beautiful.
But you have to also make sure you weren't downwind, right?
Yeah. Well, you couldn't, you didn't want to, yeah. And, but they don't do that anymore. I don't know if they're going to reinstate that process or that opportunity or not. But
I hope so, because my husband wants to have his ashes.
Yeah. A lot of people really want that. And, I want to say that we ended up having a really beautiful and meaningful ceremony for my dad. My brother is an Episcopal priest, and he helped sort of do the church aspect of it. And we ended up burying and scattering some of his ashes on one of his favorite places on Vashon Island, Tramp Harbor, which is where he would go and take pictures of eagles. And we had an eagle come and stay. It was really quite amazing. And then we also buried he was a great love of the outdoors and gardening, and he had a rose garden that he was able to he just had this magic touch. And so we buried some in Scott's rose garden. And so it ended up being lovely. It ended up being beautiful. But during that process, I was like, wow, this is the last time. This is not the time I want to be worrying about how do I do these outdoor things that are really important to us. And I had a lot of time to reflect afterwards and got downsized, which gives you even more time to reflect.
Well, I guess I'm still working on that one.
And spent a lot of time just sort of digging deep into my soul about where I might be able to help people. And I thought, I don't want other people to have to stress in this moment, especially if they want to scatter the ashes of their loved one somewhere outdoors. And so I decided to start a new company. And the company is called Boann, Boann. And what we do is we helped find final rest for those you love where they love to be. So outdoors, on the water, public parks. If there's private land, happy to help. I mean, the point is I'll help anybody in that space because, you know, and there are a lot of great resources already, right? Like the churches and the funeral homes. And so this is just yet another option because it can be kind of, there are certain forms to fill out. I mean, I'm not going to tell people not to do it the way they want to do it, whether they fill out the
But you're
forms
giving
or
them
not.
an option.
But I want to give them that option. And it's sort of like, you know, we have people who help us plan for a lot of things throughout life.
Yes.
If you're getting married, you get a wedding planner. If you want to go to college, you get a counselor to help you plan that process and figure that out. And you want to buy a home, you sit with a realtor and plan out what that's going to look like and what's your ideal situation. I mean, like we do this all the time.
Yes.
And so I want to be there. And I know that most of the time people won't think about it until the time of. And I want to be able to be there in the time of. So
I get it. Absolutely. I think it's wonderful. And if folks, if you get nothing else out of this, you got to get Bonnie's energy. She is a firefighter. She's a pistol. I mean, but she's all about you and making what you want try to come to, you know, materialize, but that if you don't get it exactly like you want it, you'll get it close.
Yeah.
And you'll be happy.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, like when I was looking for my dad, you know, I said, okay, well, I'll hire a boat. Well, a lot of the boats I could hire in October, November, were fishing boats. And my dad wasn't a fisherman. And the idea of sitting on a boat that I'm sure wasn't stinky, but I envisioned this stinky boat. And I was just like, I can't sit and like, even if I'm in dress down clothes, I can't sit and do that. And so, you know, it really is, how do you want to honor that person? Maybe they loved hiking in Mount Rainier. How can we honor that? What is a way we can honor that? Maybe they like to be on the sea. Maybe there was a particular park, or maybe they just like to sit in a certain area of your backyard.
Right.
You know, how can we honor that and make it feel joyous, right? Like you were just saying, it's really, really sad, and grief is not going to go away, but there is something really lovely about being able to say, for me, you know, eagles showed up.
Yeah, there was a reason that happened, Bonnie. Now there was a reason.
And, you know, and this was an important space, and, you know, it can be as elaborate, and you can have you can do the whole thing. You can have a party and a barbecue, and you can have dancing, and you can do all of that, or you can make it really simple. It's really up to who you are and who they were.
Right.
And still are. Like I say were, but really, when someone dies, it's not like they're gone from your life. It's not like
they're in your heart forever.
You don't forget who they were or what they brought to you. You know, I still talk to my mom every day, and we talk about some of the, you know, great things. Like in fact, this morning we were talking about how my dad decided to take a job that probably wouldn't have been his happiest path of life, so that we could eventually end up in Seattle. And Seattle is such a great place for us. Like he's still with us. We're still talking about him.
Sure.
We still talk to him.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
You know, that it's just harder to hear him answer. That's the only difference.
I hear you. I understand exactly what you're saying. My dad passed 3 years ago, and I find myself making some of the comments that he would make. And I've even heard my husband even make some. So it's like, the first time I heard him do it, I kind of turned and looked, and I went, oh, do you know you just said something that Dad always said, and the way he said it? And he didn't. But it was like, you pick things up when you're around people for so long. And
Yeah.
we'll be 20 years and married in August. So I guess he managed to pick that up.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And so I'm like, okay. And just the other day I said something. I can't remember right now exactly what it was, but I said, oops, there's Dad again.
Yeah. They don't leave. They really don't.
And they shouldn't leave. I was like, my grandmother died, umpteen years ago. And I still think about things that she taught me, like how to embroider. And she always said that the back side has to look as neat as the front side. I said, oh my gosh. Okay, Grandma, whatever you say. And then I, turned it over and straightened things up and clipping the edges and trying to make it as neat as the front. But I don't embroider anymore. But when I was still doing it as an adult, I'd still hear her in my head. And I was like, okay, make sure this is right now. She might be looking. So
yeah, and it takes us through, and it is real. It is real. This is real. We are real.
For sure.
In this relationship that we continue.
Definitely. So Bonnie, have you put a price with this?
So that is a great question. So my goal, I'm still building that website. I'm out there. I've hung up the shingle. I got the LLC. I've done the paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still building the website. For the most part, I start with where people want. And my goal is to be a community resource. It's still a for-profit, but to be a community resource. So what does that mean? What does that look like? That means, I am going to publish, price points. This is what it's going to look like. If this is sort of knowing that everything is individualistic and everything changes.
Right.
My goal is to offer a very minimum, either scattering at sea or on land, which would be like very minimal, sort of like it's just me doing it for you.
You're going to be doing it personally.
Or the families. So this very minimal one where, you say you live in New York and you don't want to come out here, or say, you want it done and, times are tight for people right now. True. Then my hope is to keep that price point for the scattering at like $200. So I would take care of everything and you wouldn't have to be like worried about renting a boat or any of that, but it wouldn't necessarily be as tailored and customized as I would like to do all the time, but it would be an option. I also know that there are guardians out there and maybe, how can I help them, find a way to honor people, because humanity and people are people. But it builds. The more you want to do, the more that happens. But the point is that no matter where you fall on that line, that I believe in helping people, not only as they scatter their ashes or do their memorial, but I believe in helping support that transformation through grief. So it's not like just here, okay, we're done, goodbye. But, whether it's as small as getting, details about where the scattering is and some grief acceptance cards, that you can look through on your own to help you all the way up. I'm an affiliate with Grief Coach. Grief Coach is this wonderful program that provides texting support for I think 16 or 18 months. So you don't ever have to talk to anyone, and you get little messages that help you. And what's great about that is if you want to name other people to get messages to help you through that grief, that's part of that too. And that goes to that sort of grief as a communal thing. And especially right now, we've passed the 1 million mark for COVID.
Yes.
That's what 1 out of every 6 people, at least, or 9 people is dealing with grief. So it is a community endeavor. And the more people feel comfortable, the more I think we can collectively deal with our own big traumas and small traumas, our big griefs and small griefs. And so one of my goals is to make sure that whatever that price point is, whether it's minimal or maximal or whatever you want to call it, that you're getting at least something to help you in that process.
I agree with you 100%. And one of the things I've noticed since COVID hit us, more people are looking at planning
Mhm.
for their end of life. However, there's still a vast majority, especially in the African American community,
Yeah.
they're not wanting to deal with it. Because I remember my dad, I can laugh now, but at the time was not funny.
Mhm.
When I would talk to him about it, he goes, I will deal with it when the time comes. And I said to myself, no, you won't. We will. And of course, that was true. But I like this idea that you've this company, this dream that you're putting together, because people need options. And
Yep.
one of the things I've been reading about too, in speaking on cremation, there are new ways to be cremated. That's what's what word am I looking for? The air, the environment, environmentally friendly.
Friendly. Yeah. There's so many different things. And I want to make clear that my business doesn't do that end. But there are, recomposting where you can turn yourself into soil. Oh, maybe that was a Freudian slip. Oh my gosh. You can turn yourself into soil, which is great. And there's aquamation, which uses water instead of fire. And then you have, opportunities in new organizations. Like there's a place called solacecares.com or Solace, and they do cremation, and it's like all up front, and they do cremation for under $1,000. And it's just, it's amazing that the opportunities that are now being, and then of course you have the stalwarts like People's Memorial Association, which
Right.
has always been transparent and always has advocated for funeral advocacy and education and openness.
Yes.
So, I mean, I think you see this great sort of coalition or collective of people coming together saying, we can do death differently. And it's not saying, oh, if you've done it that way in the past, that's not right. It's saying these are just more options for you. You can have that green burial, which has different standards, or you can have what we have, seen in the past 20, 30, 50 years of like the gold standard of funerals and burial, which includes like not only the casket, but, sort of the encasing and a whole thing. This is great because this means people can live their values in life and in death.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think that's a great thing.
And that's part of what the Advanced Care Directive does it.
Yeah.
And as an end-of-life planning facilitator, when I meet with people, I try to get them to understand you are in charge. So this is a time for you to say what you want, what you don't want. I remember I used to think that, well, I still think it, but I don't like pain. So I don't want to be in pain if I'm on, my last days. However, what I've learned through my work is that no, I want to be comfortable because I want to be able to communicate with whoever's coming to see me and be able to hear what they're having to say and be able to express what I'm feeling and giving the love for maybe the last time. So I don't want to be completely out. But unless it's written somewhere, or unless my appointed guardian to speak, who's going to be speaking for me if I can't speak, then unless they know, nobody's going to know. So there you are.
Yeah.
So I really want everyone to have the opportunity to know about all your options, and also just throwing this in. If you want to talk about end-of-life planning, you can give me a call at 206-683-2636. I do Zoom, I do individual, I do families. We make it work. So this work is so important, and we just want everybody to be a part of it. And Bonnie, what you're doing is fantastic. And hopefully no time soon, I do want to talk to you about the scattering of ashes. But yeah.
Yes, no time soon, because you've got all those people who are going to be calling you and need help with planning and notarization. So let's put on pause for now.
Exactly. And speaking of that, are you ready for people to call you to talk to
Yeah,
you?
they can go to my website if they want, and that is BOANN.net, Boann.net, like you're throwing a net, Boann.net, and there's a contact form there. There's a 1-800 number that I have. Well, it's not 1-800. I think it's 1-855 or something.
Close.
And so you can reach out to me if you have any questions or just sort of want help. Eventually, as the website goes more live, right now it's a placeholder with my story, so you get to read more about me. I'll also have like a checklist. So if someone's a do-it-yourselfer, a DIYer wants to do it, I want to give them some information so that they know what they might encounter and how to get through that. Again, this is all about the person who needs it, not me. And so however I can help people navigate that really tough space. It was really, I look back and it was stressful. I was at real peace because I felt like I had done good by my dad, and that meant a lot to me.
Right. I hear you.
But, at the same time, I was like, I don't want a fishing boat. So it's this like dichotomy of like.
But the real fishermen, I have a friend who's a fisherman. They don't go out on those kind of boats. They have nice boats. They're clean, and yeah, it's not.
And I'm sure these were clean, nice boats. I just, and eventually I'm hopeful that I can do full at-sea burial, because that's something that most people don't know, but Washington offers. You can do full at-sea, your whole body, not scattering.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But no one offers that because it requires a lot of stuff. So, I'm just seeing the future where there is more options and more possibilities. And I want more people to be doing this for people and with people.
So can you tell us the story behind the name of Boann, or do you want to?
No, I can tell you real quickly.
All right.
So Boann is a Irish Celtic river goddess.
Oh.
Sometimes her name is spelled Boinn. I'm sure I'm not saying it like an Irish person would, or someone with an, but she was a wife in her, royalty, I think. And she was told not to challenge the wisdom of the well. The well was, and so she one day decided, I think women like knowledge. And she went up and challenged the wisdom of the well and walked counterclockwise against it and confused the water so much that the water came up and took her and made her part of it. And since she was part of the water, she opened up the well. She created the River Boann through Ireland to bring prosperity and fertility and creativity and a future for other people, for everyone out there.
Oh my gosh.
And so that's why it's named Boann. My hope is that by challenging sort of this traditional aspect and bringing it out in the open rest, open grief, open everything, that we can bring a brighter future to not only others, but to ourselves who are being transformed in that grief.
Oh, that is fantastic.
Thank you.
Oh, I love that.
Thank
my
you.
goodness. Bonnie, you girl, you're something else. But
I will take that as a compliment and
it
run
is
with it. And that was
absolutely-
taking me
it
through
is
the weekend
absolutely-
and next week. That is taking me through next week.
Yeah, that absolutely is a compliment. You are so talented,
Oh.
and I want. Well, we're going to go walking pretty soon. Well,
Yeah,
about-
we are. We're going to go
about 2 weeks.
walking.
But I want some of that to rub off on me, because I just love your energy. I love your inspiration. I just love who you are. You're a great person. And when I met you, it was through helping other people, and you were doing a training for the group that I was with. And we just clicked that day. And
Oh my gosh. Well, if I'm all those things you said, it's only because I keep good company. And
bless you.
that
my
includes
child.
you, of course, right?
Yes. Well, dear, I've got to go, but we will be talking soon. And
Yes.
I just want to thank my listening audience. I hope that you've gleaned something from this conversation, because it's a very important one, and the sky's the limit on what we want to do. So just take advantage of it. This is Brenda Charles-Edwards signing off from Seniors Matter. I'd like to thank my special guest, Bonnie. And, there's that song. Yes. And be sure to check out Patrice Isley on YouTube. Take care of yourselves, be blessed, and be safe. Next up is the coronavirus new edition. Take care. Bye, Bonnie.